This cat found a lonely baby in the forest, and what this kitten did afterward will blow your mind. Growing up, Samantha had always wanted to live in a big city, have kids, and travel the world. But sometimes, life gives us something different from what we want, and that's what happened to this woman. Life started well for her as she lived with her parents who gave her everything she wanted. But soon she would be left with no one by her side, well, except for a cat. Samantha was 25 when she met Gary, 40, and within a few months of being in a relationship with him, she built her world around him. However, her parents never approved of this relationship. They believed there was something off about Gary. He didn't have a meaningful source of income, and he lived with friends. Gary also told Samantha he was setting up a big business in Australia and asked her to fund it, which she did. Samantha was so blindsided by her love that she saw nothing wrong with it. In fact, she moved out of her parents' house and asked them to never contact her anymore because they didn't support her relationship. Months later, Samantha got married to Gary, and he moved into her house, a gift she had received from her parents on her 20th birthday. The couple's initial plan was to have kids as soon as they tied the knot. However, after the wedding, Gary insisted they wait 2 or 3 years. He told her it would be best if they started having kids once he had finished setting up his business, so Samantha continued giving him more money so he could speed things up. For the first 3 months of their marriage, things were fine. But right from the 4th month, Gary started traveling a lot. His excuse was that he needed to oversee the business. He would leave for about 3 days, but then it got worse, and he would be gone for weeks on end. Soon, Samantha began to suspect Gary was hiding something, and she decided to do some digging. Unfortunately, it was already too late. After staying away for 3 weeks, Gary finally returned home. Much to cement the surprise, he got her a gown. He even made dinner, and they had some wine that night. Samantha's last memories were of her feeling dizzy and Gary carrying her to the bed, saying, "Good night, my love. I wish you a great life." She wanted to ask him why he was making such a comment, but just as she opened her mouth, she dozed off. It wasn't until 3 p.m. the next day that Samantha finally woke up. The house was as quiet as a graveyard. She called Gary, but there was no response, and what she saw shocked the living daylight out of her. Every single thing in the sitting room was gone, including the gown he got for her. The only thing she saw was a note, so she picked it up with trembling hands and read, "You should have listened to your parents. Don't bother looking for me. You will never find me." Samantha then realized he had drugged her the night before, and while she was sleeping he had packed every single thing she owned. This woman felt used and haunted. She couldn't live in that house anymore, nor could she return to her parents. So she decided to leave everything behind and live elsewhere. Samantha moved to a very small town in Siberia, and she bought a modest house close to a forest. She expected nothing amazing to come out of this move, but one thing, oh no, 2 wonderful things came out of it, and the first one was a cat. The first evening Samantha spent at her new house, she had a long, warm bath and a good night's sleep. She slept so deeply that it was the sound of a cat meowing next to her window that finally woke her up. At first she thought she was dreaming, until the sound became clearer and louder. Samantha then got out of her bed and went to check what was making the sound. Immediately after she opened the door, she came face to face with the cat. About 1 month old, this kitten was so beautiful, yet she had the saddest eyes Samantha had ever seen. Samantha picked the feline up and noticed the cat had some bruises on her legs. Samantha couldn't help but wonder what the cat had been through. She just felt the cat must have had it rough in the past couple of weeks. At that moment the cat licked Samantha's fingers, and then she looked deeply into her eyes, as if she was trying to say, "We have been through a lot, but now we can be each other's anchor." Samantha found this so inspiring, so she named the cat Hope. "I want no one to come looking for you. Let's be best friends," Hope, Samantha said. She then took the cat in and cleaned her up. She also applied some ointment on her bruises and gave her plenty of food to eat. As soon as the cat got full, she became active and started running around. She and Samantha spent the whole evening talking to each other and just playing around, but neither of them realized their family wasn't complete yet. Over the next couple of weeks, Samantha and Hope got closer, and this cat became the only thing that mattered in this woman's small world. Samantha also admired the way Hope quickly adjusted to living with her. She was resourceful, and Samantha liked that about her. Hope was an adventurous cat who loved to take small walks around the area. She would go in the evenings and return before 6 p.m. Samantha was always at the door ready to welcome her with hugs and kisses. One day Hope went out for a stroll, but she didn't return at her usual time. Samantha was so worried, but she still decided to wait a little. Yet by 6:30 p.m. Hope still hadn't returned. The woman then went in search of her animal friend. She called the cat's name several times, but there was no response. She even asked her neighbors, but no one had seen the kitten. Around 8 p.m., Samantha finally decided to go home. She rarely wished she would find the cat waiting at the door, but unfortunately Hope wasn't there when she got into the house. Samantha plunked down onto her chair, and memories of the beautiful time she had with the cat filled her mind. Before she knew it, she had dozed off. The next morning around 7:30 a.m., Samantha suddenly woke up when she felt something brushing against her legs. When she opened her eyes, she couldn't believe she was looking at Hope. The cat looked so tired, like she hadn't slept the whole night. "Oh, my dear baby, where have you been?" Samantha said and bent down to pat the cat. But Hope suddenly went wild. She started meowing so loudly. Hope was a very gentle cat, so Samantha couldn't understand why she was being so loud. As if that wasn't scary enough, she started running around the whole house. Then she went back to Samantha, licked her feet, and ran out of the house. Samantha ran after the cat and kept calling her name, but Hope just kept running, and Samantha followed her. She didn't know where the cat was taking her, but she trusted Hope's judgment. Samantha's neighbors saw her running after the cat, and they joined her too. Soon they came to the forest, and Hope finally stopped near a box beside a garbage pit. She then started meowing non-stop. Samantha immediately knew something was wrong, so she rushed to the box. When she looked into it, she almost tripped inside. In the box was an infant wrapped in a blanket. Someone had clearly left the baby all alone, and Samantha and her neighbors couldn't understand why anyone would do that to a newborn. Samantha quickly picked up the baby and noticed the blanket was covered in cat's fur. That's when she realized Hope didn't return home the night before, because she stayed out to keep the child safe and warm. As Samantha rocked the baby, Hope started meowing, but this time it didn't sound sad and confusing, more like a cry of victory, as anyone would. Samantha reported the case to the authorities. While waiting for the police to arrive, she changed the baby's clothes and gave her some food. When the authorities left with the baby, Hope followed them, and even as they drove away, she chased after their van. She had bonded with the little girl within the few hours they had spent together, and she didn't want to leave her side. The baby was eventually taken to an orphanage, and Samantha and Hope visited her frequently. But Samantha couldn't get the little girl out of her mind. Hope was also always happy whenever they visited her. She knew within herself that the little girl was meant to be a part of her family, so she did something that would forever make her happy. She adopted the little girl and named her Emily. Samantha was also grateful to Hope for bringing Emily into her life. What's your favorite part of the story? Let me know in the comments below. I hope you enjoyed today's story. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you don't miss more beautiful stories like this. See you next time.